Good afternoon, everybody. So, as Matthew explained, my name is Francois Rossier, and so I work in the microfinance sector since 1994. And this afternoon, I want to present you a tool that was developed, and I will explain you in which situation. A tool which aims to boost renewable energy products distribution through microloans. So, how can you use microfinance institutions to distribute renewable energy products like, for example, a solar lamp and an improved cook stove? And it's important to see at the price that is that figures on the slide, $25 for a lamp and $35 for improved cook stove. This is, of course, an average price, but it's important for the following slides. Then the starting point of this, how did we started to think about this issue? Well, you remember maybe since 3, 4, 5 years, especially in Africa, there's a very strong hype where pretending that microloans could really be useful to boost renewable energy product sales. And the rationale behind that is simply to say that, well, microfinance institutions have large client base, they go at the bottom of the pyramid, they are also present in rural areas, so it's a very good distribution channel. But in fact, when you study a bit the experience of various MFIs in distributing these renewable products, you see that the sales remain usually or even almost every time below target. And the main reason is that the MFI and the technology provider, what we call the TP, the link, the way they work together is not efficient. And so in 2012, if I'm correct, with Microfinanza, I was working for Microfinanza at this moment, we were awarded a project in the framework of the ACP EU Microfinance project. And this project took place in Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And the scope of the project was to assess 20 MFIs and technology providers, and to understand well why the sales didn't scale up, and also propose some solutions or improvements. So the main findings that we found on the field by doing this survey in these 4 countries was what we called first poor governance, meaning that usually the technical provider and the MFI, they sign a very short 2-3 pages MOU, and but the MOU doesn't really provide details on how they should implement the distribution of the renewable technologies. So that's already one weakness. Linked to that was that there was hardly no marketing strategy in two sides. One side, they didn't really study in which region they should start first to distribute the products. For example, they didn't take into account the density of the population or the distance between the villages and these kind of issues. And also the marketing material was a bit basic or superficial. There were flyers, there were maybe sometimes some advertisement on the radio, but it was a bit general and like spread in the open, but not really targeted to specific audience. And again, the task and responsibilities are poorly defined, especially in terms of after-sales services. And this was true for solar, electric, photovoltaic devices, because the MFI would provide the device to the end user, the client, but they were not in charge of the after-sales services. But usually the technician was based in the capital and the client was far away in the rural areas, and this created frustration. But the main or the major problem that was which explains why the sales don't scale up is that the transaction cost, the interest rate that the MFI earns on these devices, renewable energy products, is not enough to cover the transaction cost, and that's why I put the price of the lamp at the beginning, $25, and the improved cook stove, $35. You see that even with a interest rate of, let's say, 3 or 4% per month, it's not, and even if you repay the loan in 6 months, you cannot cover the transactions cost. So based on these findings, we designed a tool, a very basic tool, which had 3 components. One was about governance, the other one was about marketing, and the third one was about pricing innovation. And the pricing innovation is what the REEP-DEMO really is. So for the governance, it was very basic, but it was just, you know, to support the link, so the MFI and the TP, to think about how frequently they should meet, who is responsible of what, and this kind of issues. So it was more like a guideline to help the two collaborate. Then for the marketing, there was also we tried to support the MFI to take into consideration the population distribution, the size of the population, and also to make an estimate of how many devices or products they would sell among a specific district, and that you can see on the next slide. Here it's the example of Tanzania. So we made a database with all the districts and the population, and then with on the right side of the tool you can select the size of the rural population, because it can change or differ from one district to another, the amount of people below the poverty line, and so on and so on. And then you reach a figure, and on this in this example of around 5,200 potential clients. So the idea was a bit for the link to set some targets and then see, okay, do we manage to sell 5,200 solar lamps or not? And so that was part of the tool. And the third element, which I guess was the most innovative, is this chart. So I'll take a few minutes just to explain. The idea is really to use the savings on the monthly energy expenses that this kind of renewable energy product allows the household to have, to repay the product. So here you see on the left side the orange bricks. That's before the client purchases. Let's say in this case it's an improved cook stove. So I put percentage on the right side, on the left side, sorry, because it could be 100, not dollars, but whatever currency. But you get the point. The household spends, let's say, 100 per month on buying firewood. And then he receives this improved cook stove, so his consumption in wood drops down to 40%. And so the idea is to say to the household, look, before you were spending 100 per month on energy expenses, now you will spend only 40. That's the remaining firewood that you still need to have to buy. So why not pay 20 more? And this will help repay the principle of the renewable energy, in this case the improved cook stove. And then the idea was to add 1, 2, or 3 additional monthly installments to create an incentive for the MFI. And so the idea is really to say, okay, with this improved cook stove, you household, you will spend less money every month on energy, so you will save money. And the paradox is that by doing that, the interest rate charged on the product, it's much higher, but nevertheless, the household will spend less money on a monthly basis. So that was, and you will see after how this helped to reach sustainability for a renewable energy portfolio. So then there was also part of the REEP-DEMO, there was some kind of awareness tool. So here's an example in Ghana where we try to raise the awareness of the household, so they understand, they get the point how much money they spend per week or per month on firewood and charcoal. And then the idea is also to provide different repayment schemes. So here in this example, the figures are a bit, I mean, they're correct, but they are, I removed the zero just to make it smaller so it fits on the screen. But the idea is to say, okay, either you can purchase the product cash and you pay 20, that's the first line, the yellow square, or you can select a five whatever currency per month repayment scheme, and then that's the first blue line, or you can spend 3 per month, and that's the second blue line, or 2 per month, and that's the third blue line. And you see on the right side that in total the client will repay 30, whatever repayment scheme he does. So there's a top up for the MFI of 10, but he depending on his, let's say, his cash flow inflow, he can select these different schemes. And then that was another part of the tool or the approach. It was a bit to show, because when we were presenting these innovation to the MFIs, they didn't really see the interest or the profit they could make in distributing these renewable energy products, and that's why usually they are not proactive, because they don't see the profit. So here we made a tool which considers distributing only one product. Here you see at line 11, the cost is 200 Ghanaian cedis. So it was for these improved cook stoves, and then the interesting part is on line 20, column E, the number 3. If you see on the Excel, and if people are interested, I can send them then by email the Excel. If you put 2, the chart on the right side, return earnings is negative. But if you put 3, it becomes positive. And if you put 4, it becomes even positive earlier than on month 33. And this, you don't see all the tool, but it also includes the operational expenses of the loan officer and a consolidated evaluation of the overhead for the MFI. So this was also a tool that was designed to help the MFI to figure out where is the break-even point with this product. And that's just a detail. I won't go into detail because the lines have been squeezed. But you see that for the first month, we forecast here in this example that there will be 10 sales of renewable energy products, and then second month it's 15, 20, and you see that each repayment, there are 2 tables below. One is for the principal repayment, and the second one is for the interest repayment. And you see that according to the number of principal repayments, like for example first month line 24, then if you get down to the interest, it continues right after. And by playing with that, it was easy then to really calculate the profit, the P&L of the portfolio, so to say. And this a bit to conclude, the REEP-DEMO needs some elements to be implemented. First, the clients or the end users really must see the advantage that they will save money in the future by purchasing such a product. So there must be a convincing and let's say exciting advertisement or marketing campaign. Then the MFI must be proactive. This means, and we had the feeling that proactive would even mean that the board of directors should at least make a statement about the will of the MFI to build a sustainable RED portfolio. Because if the impulse or let's say the input doesn't come from the board, then generally the general manager he has renewable energy products is another loan product, but he loses the focus on it and he drives away. So that's also important. Then there's a need to find a good balance between how much additional monthly incentive do you add for the MFI, and without not making maturities that are too long. Because if you think that the product is $25, if you have to pay it over 12 months, then everybody feels that it's unbalanced. So this is where a strong MFI with strong social values will see, okay, we need some incentive for our transaction costs, but not too much also, and so that's important. And then, of course, a TA grant to set up the REEP-DEMO, at least at the beginning, to train the people and make some marketing testing and this kind of thing is necessary, and as well, or a soft loan to kickstart the RED portfolio, because usually the microfinance institutions said, but we have no specific resources for that, so we cannot really build a portfolio, and that was also one of the reasons why it didn't scale up. And then to let's say not diversify, but open the windows of opportunities. The tool REEP-DEMO was really designed with an African context in mind. But recently I'm working in Moldova with an agency, and we are also trying to make a rural energy efficiency loans for households. And we also try to use this principle where we try to estimate the savings that the energy efficiency measures will have on the energy expenses of the household, and use these savings to pay at least part of the loan, and that's where we stand. And so here's the last slide. So that's the presentation is done.